Ed, for inviting me to do the show here. I have to say, I spent after a long time of not going around with my films very much. I've in the last year, been traveling more with my work. And so you're very lucky to be here. You're very lucky to have a place like this that exists, that like actually has projectors, that has a venue, that has a relatively, you know where it's going to be. Right, a light industry, but the reason I say that is that that isn't true anymore in a lot of parts of the country. The San Francisco Cinematheque is a name. It's not a venue. It's sort of sad where we're at now. Avant-garde film screening kind of mirrors, and spaces kind of mirrors the income distribution in this country. There are a few very bright spots, right? Deservedly or not, and then the rest of it, we're back to the 60s. And I can say that. That's where I started. So I know. We're back, and this is actually one of the most together places. It has weekly programs, it has intelligent programs, it has a committed audience, it has volunteers. But I would say there's a lot of enthusiasm and energy around the country too. There's just not money. So there are a great screen in San Francisco. When I showed there, I did a joint show of the Cinematheque, the Black Hole Cinematheque, which does great screenings. I'm not like here to tell you that you haven't noticed the apocalypse has happened. Film is dead. One of those raps. But what I'm saying is that actually it's not. We're in a difficult period. We're in a difficult period for institutionally for showing stuff. On the other hand, this is a marginal thing, right? The avant-garde, American avant-garde film wasn't supposed to replace the industry. It's a marginal thing. That we survive at all is amazing. It's fucking amazing that I'm here and that we're going to see films that were meant. These three films were shown at the Harvard Archive as part of my first decade of filmmaking. There are actually 4 other decades after that. So back around when I started to make films, I realized that I was going to make films of varying lengths. And that from being around, I started as a poet, I realized it kind of mirrored, and also I got advice from people like Brakhage, or I looked at Maya Deren and Brakhage's and other people's practice, and I realized I should probably try and make series. And that so I started, I had started, I said, as a writer, and I got progressively more of a writer's block. And so I had, finally, the only thing I could write were letters or little notes, which I would send to people. Then it occurred to me I could do this in film. that that I was trying to think of used films. I realized that I started to think about what it would mean to use film as the various possibilities of thinking about the way the filmmaking apparatus took notes of the world. And I thought this would be actually a pretty open and allow me a lot of leeway. Now, in a way, maybe I should have followed Walt Whitman and called all my films notes. But I decided not to do that. I'm not as smart as Walt Whitman. He was very much smarter. I should have thought about him, not Robert Duncan. So anyway, these three films are in the Note series, which now I made another one about 2 years ago. There's only 13 or 14 of them. And so these are all different ways of thinking about notes. Note to Patty was really made as a note to a person, but I mean it to be, I also was a big fan of William Butler Yeats and realized he rewrote love letters that he had written 20 or 30 years before because he thought, his love letters had one function, seduction, communication. But then he was also a poet, and everything he wrote was important. So he went back and rewrote them. So I thought of these films as having, not that I would go back and redo them, but that they would have both the sense of personal, like that, which always happens. Some of you I know for 40 years. There are people in this room I know for over 40 years. And then some of you I don't know at all. Some of these films may have, actually somebody showed up today. Cindy, you're in a film you've never seen. Guess what? You're not going to see it tonight either. They didn't program the right film. What do you think about? But I'm going to send it to you. But that film would definitely have a very different meaning for you than it would for anyone else in the room. So in any case, each of these works are my trying to figure out how film can be used to take notice of the world and also to respond to it. So I'll shut up now, because actually, you see, I'm talking like I'm the most important person here. Actually, I'm not. I made these films a long time ago. I could be dead by now. The films are alive. The most important people I usually say are the projectionists, because I want them to do a good job. And because they are important, unless they get it on the screen. But the truth of it is you're the most important people for the work. Because these works will finally be fulfilled when they hit your mind's eye. Now, I want you to do a good job. I'm not dead. I'm watching you. Do a good job. These films, this is a desperate, I described at the beginning, these are desperate times for avant-garde film. You may not have a chance to see these again.